Well, hello. Thank you for taking time to check out this recording. I would first like to apologize because this was supposed to air live on yesterday. Unfortunately, life happened. Yeah, can you believe that? Life happened. A lot of technical hiccups as I am still learning this. So I wasn't able to put this on at the exact time that I had planned. So please forgive me. Be patient. I'm old. Okay, now that we've gotten past the apology of not having this out at 7 o'clock Eastern Time yesterday, I hope you will enjoy this. I'm excited to do this piece for you as we ramp up the month of March, and we are talking about when life happens. And tonight we're taking it to that next level, and we're talking about why life happens because things occur, obstacles, trials, tribulations, things happen, the unexpected, the unanticipated. And when it is on the side of negative, we tend to struggle. We don't understand. Things seem to have been going so well, and somehow, some way, we got the curveball and life was life and we didn't like it and we didn't understand it and we were frustrated. So tonight I want to talk about why life happens. So it's still under the umbrella of when life happens, but why life happens. Is that okay? Let's kick into this. Sometimes life happens because wherever we were was just for a season. Wherever we were was just a season. There are moments in our lives when we can confuse temporary with permanent. We can be in a situation we say, "Oh, it's great, and everything is going great, and wow, I'm on top of the world." All of those things. And then life happens. There's a shift and there's a change, and we're saying, well, why did it change? Because from my perspective, everything was coming up roses. This was good. But what we did is we confused temporary with permanent. That space we were in, that environment we were in, that relationship we were in, that career we were shooting for, whatever it may have been that we thought was permanent, but it was really temporary, and it was only for a season, only for a season. So what happens? Now we shift. Now we're going into another season that's not cushy and comfortable. We shift. We were in a great season. We thought everything was great. And why did we change? Because it was going good. But life happened. And the season changed because again, what we thought was permanent was temporary. It was only for a season. If we only have sunshine, we will never appreciate the rain. And life just does not work that way, my friends. We can't have every day peaches and cream. So when life happens, we have to accept that what we had, where we were, how it was, how it felt, it was a season. It wasn't meant to be permanent. It was a season. And when that season came to an end, as it did, It was time to go into another season. And sometimes when we go into another season, it's not comfortable. It's not cushy. It's not everything is coming up roses. And we go, oh, but I remember when it was, and now it's not. Never confuse temporary with permanent. Some of the things that we want to be permanent were only meant to be temporary. And now I'm in a space, now I'm in a season. I don't like it. I don't even know why I'm in this season. But there are benefits. When we shift from good to bad or from bad to worse, and we say, man, I don't even understand this. The true understanding is what we can glean from the experience, how we can benefit from the tidal wave. Instead of just seeing it as a tidal wave, it's like, well, there has to be something in this. How do I benefit? What's the upside of this season changing? Because I would have preferred to have stayed in that season where it was nice and comfortable and cushy and I felt good and it just was, it was the ideal. And this is in our mind. It was the ideal situation. But everything that glitters isn't always gold. And we need to be stretched because comfortability is not always to your advantage. The word comfortable sounds good innately. We think if you say comfortable, oh, that's a good thing. Oh my gosh, she said she was comfortable. He said he was comfortable. So that's great. They're comfortable. But what I share oftentimes is that comfort actually is not always a good thing. Because when we are comfortable, we don't grow. And when we don't grow, we don't move. And when we don't move, we're stagnated. We get comfortable with a situation. We get comfortable with an environment. We get comfortable with circumstances. We get comfortable. We don't grow. We don't even have a desire to grow because I'm comfortable. And I'm telling you, we have to be very careful with the idea of what comfortable is and what we do with being comfortable. So when we talk about why life happens and we start talking about, well, there's seasons. And we say, oh, but in that season last year, in that season last month, I was comfortable and you weren't growing and you were becoming stagnated and you weren't reaching and you didn't possibly want more because you had become comfortable. So life needed to happen so that you could shift into a situation that wasn't cushy and comfortable. But guess what happened? When you shift into that uncomfortable, it motivated you to do what? Stretch, do better, experience, be innovative, be creative, have a drive, have a thirst. But if you would have stayed in that other season where it was all cushy and warm and comfortable, hmm, hmm, wow. Never confuse temporary with permanent. So why life happens is because it was only meant to be for a season. Ah, life happens for a reason. Life changes for a reason. And this isn't the same as season. Reason is a fulfillment, a purpose, right? So life happens because of reasons, because of purpose. And the purpose that you need to fulfill, if life doesn't happen, neither will the fulfillment. Here's an example. Friendships can be for a reason to fulfill a purpose. Think about that. Friendships can be for a reason to fulfill a purpose. Once that purpose has been fulfilled, the dynamics of that relationship will change. Let me break it down even further. When we have friendships, we enter into those friendships with certain needs. I have certain needs, you have certain needs. And if that friendship is not meant to be a lifetime, it becomes about reason. It becomes about fulfilling a purpose. I'm at a certain stage in my life and I need a person like you. You're at a certain point in your life and you need a person like me. Once that purpose has been fulfilled, it's very possible that that friendship will die out. Now, let me explain a little bit further because I don't want you to misunderstand me. I'm not saying that you're no longer friends and you're upset with the person or I'm upset with the person, but it shifts. Life happens. Now it's changing because my needs are different. Your needs are different. When we became friends 7 years ago, we were in a different space. And what we needed was different than what we needed 7 years later. Mm, why life happens, reasons, purpose, fulfillment of purpose. Our lives are forever changing. And when life happens, it can happen because there's reasons. There's a fulfillment, there's purpose that needs to be fulfilled. So we can't stay in the same space forever. And as irritated as we might get, frustrated with life, like, well, why did it change? Why did it happen? Well, maybe there was a reason. Maybe the purpose that needed to be fulfilled has been fulfilled, right? And now it's time to go forward. So again, using friendships, definitely a situation, a scenario where we understand that every friendship does not last for a lifetime. It's not meant for a lifetime. It may be a reason. And as we just talked about, it might even be a season. When I was in the mindset of XYZ, the friendship worked. But as my mindset changed from XYZ, the friendship no longer worked. Is that good or is it bad? It doesn't have to be either. It's just how we grow and develop and change. And life will give us shifts in accordance to how we grow. But we should never be complacent or satisfied in one space, right? Of course, that's right. This last part, let's talk about this for a moment. Why does life happen? To bring awareness to a space you have outgrown. Oh, this may hit home for quite a few people. Life can happen, life can shift, life can change because you need to be made aware that the space you're in, you've outgrown. Mm, there's some things to this. Sometimes the outgrowing a space may be on the premises of it being an unhealthy situation, it being a toxic situation. You may be the one bearing all the weight in that situation. And again, when we talk about outgrowing, that we've outgrown. So why do we? Because we've outgrown. Let's go back to friendships for a minute. Let's think about that for a minute. Two people who are friends, and we have one person that's extremely motivated and they're moving and they're going to the next level and they're going and they're moving. And then we have the other person that's either moving very slowly or they're not moving at all. And if we go back to the previous slide where I talked about friendships and how they can be for a reason, and when that purpose is served, they move on, and the dynamics of that friendship change, it kind of couples with this when I'm saying that life will happen to bring awareness of when we've outgrown a space we're in. And it doesn't always have to be friendships. You know, you can outgrow a space of your career. You can outgrow a space of different types of relationships. It could be a work relationship, you know, but you're outgrowing. You can outgrow the space that you reside in. You know, this was a wonderful house. It was a great starter house, but you know what? It doesn't suit me anymore. It's time for me to move. I've outgrown this. I need something different. I need something more. So when life happens and we think, oh, this is a terrible thing, it on the surface, probably so. But the reality is we've outgrown a space. I've experienced several different situations. And in retrospect, what I understand is I had outgrown the space. I had outgrown the circumstances, the situation. It was time for me to move. So life may have happened on different levels. Life may have happened and that person broke up with me. Life may have happened and they laid me off on my job. Life may have happened in various manners. You know, a friendship seemed like it had just kind of fallen apart. Well, maybe it was that I outgrew that space. I shared with my son one day, we were talking, and I said, I don't feel like I've ever lost anything and not gotten something better. And I genuinely believe that. I don't feel like I've lost anything and not gotten something better. So it lends weight to what we've talked about this evening about why life happens. You know, why am I given this curveball? Why am I in a situation now that feels negative? It feels uncomfortable. It doesn't suit me. I don't like it. But the truth of the matter is life can happen where it creates benefit. It happens so that you can discern that you're in an unhealthy situation, you're in an unhealthy environment. It's time for you to move on. It's time for you to grow. It's time for you to stretch. It's time because it's easy to get comfortable. We all know this. It is easy to get comfortable, become content, become complacent, almost so much so to the point where we're in denial that we need to shift, that we need to move, that we need to change. And yes, sometimes life throws us a really hard curve, and we say, I don't know what to do with this. I wasn't expecting this. Even when we lose someone we love, they pass away. And we say, oh, that's just so unfair. Why did that happen? Why did they leave? Why? And it becomes a pivotal moment for you because through what has transpired, you now find yourself dealing with life differently. You now find yourself dealing with life better. You now find yourself being more healthier emotionally, mentally, physically, even spiritually. But at the onset of losing a person, you say, oh no, there's no benefit in that. They shouldn't have gone so soon. They shouldn't have gone. That was my best friend. That was my mother. That was my father. That was my child. And there's absolutely no benefit in that. It was hurtful. And I don't disagree. But we have to know how to look at life when life happens. Because if we don't know how to look at it, we'll never understand the why of it. Because all we see is gloom and doom, and it's negative, and it's terrible, and it's hurtful, and it's disappointing, it's distressing, it's all of those things. And we cloud it and we clutter it so much until we don't have room and space to say, oh, this is a bad situation. However, it was a season. This is a bad situation, but however, it was for a reason. This was a bad situation, but now I have the awareness that I have outgrown this space. And that is okay. And I'll be honest, every curveball, every situation where life happens, we're not always going to be able to define the why, right? We're not always going to be able to define the why. And in other instances, defining the why life happened, it may take some time. It may not be something that we see immediately. It may take months, may take years for us to have that retrospective view and say, now I understand it. But as I told you in the beginning of this series, subject to change, everything changes. Some things change for the better, some things change for the worse, but whatever changes occur, be willing to be open and say, okay, this is the hand I've been dealt. Now what? Let me think about why this may have occurred. Okay, now that I've assessed why it may have occurred, what is my next step? How do I come out on top? Because if we spend a whole lot of time saying, man, I was dealt a bad hand, it wasn't right, oh my gosh, the skies, if we do that, we will have a hard time moving forward. And I understand there are moments things happen to us and we feel like we got the short end of the stick. And we say, oh, that's not fair. It's not fair that that happened to me. Get it, got it, experienced it. But what I know is I can't spend a lot of time telling you that I got the short end of the stick and it wasn't fair. Because the energy and the time that I put into doing that is time and energy that I'm losing ground to go forward with forward thinking, with positive intentions, with optimism to say, even though this happened and I don't like it and it stinks, I'm getting ready to make some lemonade out of these lemons. Ha! How about that one? That's what we have to do. It's too easy to give in and give up, but it takes work. It takes work and commitment to get up and dust ourselves off and move forward. And that's what I want you to do. When life happens, think about why. Don't spend a whole lot of time moaning and groaning. Get up, dust yourself off, and move forward. In every situation, it's critical to spend time understanding the lesson. Because there's a lesson. I know we don't want to hear this. There's a lesson in everything we go through. We just have to pay attention. What's the lesson? What out of this situation, what happened? What can I really glean from what happened? And how can I be better going forward? How can I be more cautious going forward? How can I readjust to make sure that I don't experience this again? What's the do's for me? And I'm telling you, when we can see life at that level, we will learn to embrace, accept, accept when life happens. It's going to happen. Point in case. I laughed about it at the beginning, but I tell you this, preparing for this and trying to do it live on YouTube with the best intentions, putting in the time, getting excited, thinking I've got all the I's dotted, T's crossed, only to discover I still didn't have some things done. I still wasn't able to get it set up. And I thought, well, I put the time in. It wasn't like, I did it an hour before I was getting ready to go online. I put the time in, but there's still some things that I have to learn that will help me to be efficient in doing that. And life happens. And after all that time I put in, I was frustrated because I wanted it to be on time. I wanted to be on the day I said it was going to be. I wanted all of those things. And I said, you know what? You have to accept what has happened and figure out what you can do better. And you got to be okay with that. So here I am recording, putting it out on YouTube, making the apology that it wasn't live on yesterday, and moving forward because I can't erase what happened. I can't undo it. The bell has already rung. So I have to accept that, but don't give up and give out. Because I could have taken the attitude that, oh my gosh, I didn't get it done. You know what? I don't care. I'm just so frustrated. I'm not going to record it. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just not going to do anything. Well, who would that have benefited? So what I want you to walk away with for this month is when life happens, try to understand why it happened. Try to get the lesson and benefit from it. Be very wise in understanding seasons, reasons, awareness that you've outgrown something. Do all of those pieces in a regular way. Because I think if you do that, you're going to find you're not putting as much energy into the things that happen. Because as I said in the beginning of the series, when life happens, a lot of it's unexpected, it's unanticipated, it's frustrating, it's maddening, it's distressing, it's all that stuff. But if I can put it in perspective, I'm not going to use the same level of energy that I would when I just spiral out of control because I didn't see it coming. Put it in perspective. Because I think that's the moment we're really able to get the lesson when we put when life happens in perspective, right? Right. So spend some time with you and work through that because I can guarantee you at this moment, every single one of us are going through a when life happens moment, season. We're going through it, but we just got to understand how to approach it, embrace it, accept it. It is what it is. But you know what? I'm not going to let it take me down, right? Of course, I'm right. I will be back with a different topic in April. And guess what? I'm going to keep working on doing this live. Now, how you like those apples? Thank you for tuning in. I hope you have gotten something from this. I'm excited to see where we can go throughout this year and just different things that we can talk about. And once we really get this up and running effectively, I'll get to interact with you on the chat feature, and we're just going to have a good time. We're going to grow. That's what we're really going to do. We're going to grow. So thank you again. I want you to be courageous enough to be present in the truth and enjoy your week. Thank you.